أهلا بكم من جديد. التالي عرض بعنوان مستقبل الطيران والشحن الجوي والمساهمة في النمو الاقتصادي، يقدمه مدير عام إدارة الطيران بالهيئة العامة للإستثمار الأستاذ عوض بن عطاالله السلمي.
We decided to go on a second language today. The main purpose is that we are having an entire segment for the foreign investor. That's why we picked the second language. Thank you for the Minister of Transport for the invite and the Science Committee. And today we're going to have the walkthrough on the Kingdom Advantage and interconnectivity. We're going to take it through from a logistical point of view. We're going to take a deep dive in the aviation market in particular. So the second thing is the increase of the global connectivity, and lastly the role of SAGIA in terms of the investment when it comes to transport and logistics sector. Moving on, the first part when it comes to kingdom connectivity, as you've heard from the previous session, we are talking about infrastructure, making the kingdom connected to each other. We are having logistics parks, industrial clusters, ports, seaports, land ports, dry ports, and all of those which we are connecting together. We are launching the ILBZ, the Integrated Logistics Zone, and also yesterday we launched the Al-Humra area. But that's not enough. We are having lots of regulations and ease of doing business within this interconnectivity. The second stage, after we're making the connectivity for the kingdom viable, of course, all of these are going in parallel. The second point is making the global connectivity, leveraging our own position when it comes to air, land, and sea. We are the biggest market when it comes to logistics in the region, so that's what we are leveraging from now on. The global connectivity, basically, they are picking hubs. We picked our own to be a hub, and that's the next step that we're going to show how we're going to become a hub in terms of the aviation sector. When it comes to aviation, we're not going to go through the full spectrum, like MRO and ports and infrastructure. We're going to just talk about two main components, which is volume, the main driver, passenger and cargo. That's the main two pillars that we're going to talk about today. So here is where we stand when it comes to aviation. We take a benchmark with a neighboring country just to make the similarity viable for everyone. So some of those will say that this is not a fair comparison because different economic, but we're just making a picture of how the comparison when it comes to economics it is. We're having 5% contribution, 5.6 actually, from aviation in our GDP. Let's benchmark globally, let's say Singapore, they're having 11.6% contribution on the GDP from aviation only. So that's the targeted number that we are trying to increase. And these are the forecasts when it comes to aviation sector in the kingdom. And the upside is only by having the population forecast. The increase of the population will result in this. So despite all the reforms and the infrastructure and the connectivity that we are building, this will even kick this number higher and higher, hopefully, if we made the vision succeed in that area, in the logistic area, especially in the aviation sector. That's the main one. Moving on, these are the main two pillars that I talked about, passenger and cargo. Of course, this is 2018. So for example, when you take the score of visa requisite score, it was 0 because we didn't have accessibility in terms of visa. But that was launched a couple of weeks back for tourism, and this will increasingly go on for the next couple of years. So that's an improvement by its own. Let's move to cargo because we are not really focusing on the logistics of people or focusing on the logistics of consignments. When it comes to cargo, actually, we have a lot of work to do. We are good in terms of volume. We have all the port, we have the infrastructure. So technically, in terms of aviation, we are doing fine. But kicking our LPIs is one of the main pillars in our vision. And for example, we are scoring 66 in the Freight Facilitation Index. So our next target is to move in the LPI to 25. And by default, all of these indexes will move up for the kingdom. So that's the main goal, efficiency. When it comes to aviation, aviation is the airport is the reception of the country. The airline is the business card of the country when you travel. So that's why this needs to be improved. And we have in the backbone of the logistic platform plan that all of this will be improved. When we talk about the flow of goods, we're having certain driver for the volume. The volume is the main driver for the aviation industry. We're talking about cargo, we're talking about the passenger. When it comes to passenger, our main driver is Hajj and Umrah flow. And you can see that from the top countries. When it comes to export and import, unfortunately, we are driven by another hub in the region, and the plan that we become our own hub. I'm going to speak on that in details in an upcoming slide, but making the kingdom a connected hub requires efficiency, and that's the main plan after we finish all the infrastructure connectivity according to the vision plan. For example, we have 30 carriers, I'm listing 29 in here, dominating 75% of the world volume. And we only have 6 of those carriers actually operating into Kingdom. And the potential here is we have a lot of regional carriers that we don't need them to operate here because talking about Latin America, talking about different regions, but we're having a neighboring country carrier which have the second highest volume because of the connected volume that they're having, the transfer, the transit, that's their main pillar of making this happen. So that's our next point. Visualize this for a moment. We're talking about 5% of the transit cargo that's coming through the region. If we had 5% of that, our volume will go up by 50%. But we need to have the efficiency and the regulation intact first before we go into becoming a connected hub, and that's the plan. And the potential is high enough that we can capture all of this cargo and making the kingdom the hub for the region and globally. The main driver when it comes to passenger, we said the population is going up. So that's the carried passenger from the 70s to 2006. The number is going higher. And they're expecting with the tourism visa, which is a main sector linked to the aviation market, that will go up. And we have the program of serving the pilgrims, which will increase the flow of the kingdom as well. So all of this capacity will go up. We have the flag carriers ordering 147 aircraft, 140 aircrafts. That will kick up the seats capacity for the kingdom. So all of this potential, it will eventually pour into making the kingdom a hub. And connectivity is the key for this world, making an efficient connection of the kingdom. Having said that, let's talk about the role of SAGIA. We have sectors in SAGIA. The relevant one here is the transport and logistics sector. We're having 5 main subsectors, which is maritime, aviation, LSPs, which is logistics service providers, rail and road, and zones, which is the special economic zones. So our main role is in the deputyship of business development and attraction is to attract investment, and our role is not only linked to the attraction. We have the before setup, the during setup, and after setup. So all of these services which SAGIA is providing, not only for the foreign investors, also for the local from Saudi Arabia, and also multinational investors that's been established in Kingdom, and they are looking to expand the services. My colleague Abdul Muhsin here from the PPO office, we have a priority project office which they finish all the reform or any critical level 2 complexity within 30 days. So that's also linked to the reform and the issues that are being faced by the investors. And aviation have a big chunk of that area, which we are working on it to reach to this connectivity level that we're talking about. Also, when it comes to SAGIA, we have a one-stop shop that we are facilitating all the investors when it comes to Saudi Arabia. Talking about visa, site visits, BI, business intelligence information. It's the full spectrum when it comes to investors. So I urge you to go visit Invest Saudi, which is the brand of SAGIA, of the kingdom, for the investors. And you have all the full services there when it comes to reaching out, and we will be able to help. We're having a world-class investor journey. Last year, we announced that foreign investors can come here with a full ownership in terms of investment, and that wasn't there before. So this will open the gateway for a lot of investors when it comes to the aviation sector. We're having a lot of services being provided elsewhere, like MRO services, training centers, and cadet programs, simulation, and so on. So all of this, we are trying to attract it into Kingdom and make it actual hub in terms of training, in terms of services, and job creation is the main pillar besides the GDP contribution when it comes to the aviation sector. So that's mainly it. Aviation is one of the main pillars, as I said, is the business cards of the country, and hopefully we can reach to this point of making a connection hub, and we will reach there. That's the main goal of having all of this plan in the back end. This is my email address. There is no Q&A session in here, so if you have any sort of question on the numbers or any of that sort, we can help you out when it comes to that. Thank you for your time and your attention.